Keanu Reeves hadn't expected the evening to go so wrong, least of all at a charity gala meant to celebrate the arts and raise money for homeless shelters. It was nearing midnight, and he stood alone on a breezy rooftop terrace overlooking the Los Angeles skyline. Inside the adjoining ballroom, laughter and lively conversation filled the air, but he needed a brief respite from the cameras and autograph seekers. The night had begun routinely enough. A red carpet, a few interviews, friendly chats with fellow actors about Runway to Midnight, a much-hyped noir thriller directed by visionary auteur Arden Delgado. Rumor had it Delgado was near finalizing cast decisions, and Keanu was one of two top contenders for the lead. The other was Luca Bradbury, a rising star notorious for method acting and intense competitiveness. Recently, whispers circulated that Luca felt overshadowed by Keanu's long-established fame and Delgado's particular fondness for Keanu's style. But Keanu, ever gracious, believed competition was normal in Hollywood. He sipped a glass of water, gazing at the city lights. The audition process for Runway to Midnight had been grueling, lengthy script readings, improvisational tests, even stunt evaluations. Delgado was known for pushing boundaries. Keanu felt good about his performance, but remained humble, acknowledging Luca's talent. If Delgado wanted someone fresh and raw, Luca might edge him out. That's show business, Keanu mused. Footsteps clicked across the tiled terrace behind him, accompanied by a gentle cough. Turning, he spotted a woman in a sleek black dress standing a few paces away. Her posture radiated elegance, long limbs, a slender figure, and dark glossy hair framing a sharp face. She carried herself with a casual confidence that somehow seemed out of place among the typical high society crowd. Something about her eyes, bright and a bit too intense, drew his attention. "Mr. Reeves," she ventured softly. "I was hoping to say hello. It's an honor to meet you." Keanu offered a polite, if somewhat reserved, smile. "Good evening. Enjoying the gala?" She glided closer. "Try my best." Her gaze flickered to the cityscape. "So much glitz inside. I needed some air." "You as well?" He nodded. "Yeah. Sometimes events get overwhelming." She extended a hand. Nails painted a glossy maroon. "I'm Celeste." He accepted the handshake politely. Her grip was surprisingly firm. Up close, he noticed a faint perfume, heady and sweet, and a subtle hunger in her eyes. He'd encountered admirers before, fans, starstruck donors. But something about Celeste felt different. Intriguing, but with an undercurrent of tension he couldn't place. They made small talk. The evening's performances, the cause for which the event raised funds, a few jokes about the chaotic paparazzi outside. Celeste seemed oddly informed about his career, referencing older roles, with surprising detail. He politely thanked her for the support, though a slight unease gnawed at him. Why did she appear so well-researched? When the conversation reached a lull, she leaned in, voice dropping to a soft hush. "Must be exhausting," she murmured, balancing a big audition with all this. "Word is you might snag the lead in Runway to Midnight." She took a tiny step forward, her dress brushing his sleeve. Keanu tensed slightly. "It's still uncertain. Arden Delgado hasn't made a final decision. You seem to know a lot." Her lips curved in a faint smile. "Just a big fan, I guess. I'd love to see you in that role." A pause, her gaze flicking to his mouth. "If you're not too busy later, perhaps we could talk more privately?" There it was, a flirtation laced with an undercurrent of suggestion. Keanu cleared his throat, politely stepping back. "Appreciate the invitation, but I have an early day tomorrow." He offered a gentle smile to soften the refusal. Celeste's eyes flickered with disappointment, but she masked it well. "Maybe another time," she said, scribbling a number on a cocktail napkin from the terrace bar, handing it to him. "If you change your mind." He hesitated, but took it, wanting to avoid rudeness. "Thanks." Tucking the napkin into his jacket pocket, he concluded with, "Nice meeting you, Celeste." She stepped away, pivoting with a swish of her dress. casting him one last lingering look over her shoulder before disappearing into the gala's warm glow. Keanu exhaled a slow breath. He'd been in Hollywood too long not to sense something off. Fans approached him often, but Celeste's approach felt too calculated, almost as if she were on a mission. Maybe I'm overthinking, he thought, returning to the event inside to say his goodbyes. 3 days later, Keanu hurried through a side entrance of Delgado Studios for another runway to midnight callback. In the corridor, he passed Luca Bradbury, who wore a snug-fitting designer jacket, his dark hair gelled back. Luca flashed a smile too wide to be friendly, stepping into Keanu's path. "Keanu, buddy," Luca drawled, voice dripping with forced camaraderie. "Nervous about Delgado's final call? Heard he's leaning in one direction, but who knows?" Keanu offered a polite nod. "We'll see. Delgado is unpredictable." Luca's eyes gleamed, something smug in his grin. "May the best man win." With a mock salute, he strolled off. Keanu watched him go, a tiny knot in his gut. Something about Luca's self-satisfied expression unsettled him, though he couldn't pinpoint why. At the audition room, Delgado greeted Keanu warmly. "Let's do the confrontation scene," the director barked, thrusting script pages into his hand. The protagonist, learning his best friend betrayed him. "I want raw emotion," Keanu obliged, delivering lines with restrained fury, capturing the heartbreak, the sense of betrayal. Delgado's eyes shone with approval. "That's it. That's the intensity one need," Delgado said, nodding. "We'll finalize decisions soon." As Keanu headed to his car afterward, relief mingled with a swirl of anxiety. He felt he'd done well, but the tension with Luca lingered. Something else weighed on his mind, Celeste. For some reason, her memory popped up at odd moments. He dismissed it, attributing it to mere chance. That night, he stepped out of a late dinner meeting with a producer friend, heading to his parked motorcycle. The street was dimly lit, quiet. Suddenly, a familiar figure emerged from the shadows. Celeste, wearing a tight black jacket and jeans. She offered a coy smile. "Fancy meeting you here, Keanu." Alarm bells rang in his head. "Celeste, didn't expect to see you again." She shrugged casually. "I was in the neighborhood. Thought I recognized you. Crazy coincidence, huh?" Her eyes flicked over his bike. "You ride?" He nodded, unsettled. "Yes, I do." "Look, it's late. I gotta go." She stepped closer, a hand resting lightly on his forearm. "Can I hitch a ride? I'm bored, no place to be. Maybe we can grab a drink?" He swallowed. The approach was too direct again. "I have an early morning," he deflected, pulling on his helmet. "Another time, perhaps?" A flicker of irritation flashed across her face, but she chuckled softly, stepping back. "Sure. Another time." Her gaze lingered on him, uncomfortably intense. He revved the engine and pulled away, glancing in the mirror as she watched him vanish into the night. A few days passed uneventfully, but that uneasy feeling about Celeste stuck with Keanu. He confided in an old friend, Manny, a stunt coordinator he trusted. "She's appeared twice, Manny out of nowhere. Something about her approach. I can't shake the sense it's deliberate," Keanu explained over a quick lunch. Manny frowned, sipping coffee. "Could be a persistent fan, or paparazzi minion. But yeah, watch your back, man. Public figures attract weird folks. Don't let it distract you from Delgado's final casting." Anu nodded. "I won't." Inside, though, he couldn't ignore the creeping suspicion that Celeste was more than a random admirer. Elsewhere, on a ritzy penthouse balcony, Luca Bradbury lounged with a phone to his ear. The city glowed below in the late twilight. He smirked as he spoke. "You sure you've seen him multiple times?" A pause. "Good. Just keep pushing. Don't let him slip away. We need proof he's compromised." Another pause. "Yeah? Well, you'll get your money after the job's done." He ended the call, swirling a glass of bourbon, satisfaction gleaming in his eyes. Keanu Reeves may be a big star, Luca thought, but soon Delgado will want nothing to do with him. Yes, Luca had grown certain the role should be his. Delgado's praise for Keanu gnawed at him like a festering wound. So he devised a cunning plan: sabotage Keanu's squeaky clean image. The initial idea was simple: an embarrassing tabloid scandal. But Luca craved something truly devastating, guaranteeing Delgado's moralistic stance would disqualify Keanu. Enter Celeste, a woman he'd hired through shady contacts. Skilled at manipulation, she'd seduce Keanu, linger around him, and eventually claim pregnancy. The outcry would send the gossip mill spinning. Delgado, known for hating negative press, would drop Keanu. Perfect. Keanu's house, late evening. After a long day's rehearsal for a separate small project, Keanu relaxed in his living room, flipping through channels. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hey, it's Celeste. I want to see you. Let me come over." He stared, dread tickling his spine. He never gave her his number. She must have obtained it somehow. This is going too far, he thought. He typed a curt response. "I'm sorry, but I'm not interested. Please respect my space." No immediate reply. He set the phone aside, hoping that ended it. But near midnight his doorbell rang. Through the window, he glimpsed Celeste's silhouette. Heart pounding, he debated ignoring it. But the woman began banging softly, calling his name. Alarmed neighbors or passers-by could get the wrong idea. He opened the door a crack. Her eyes flashed with a mixture of desperation and triumph. She wore a low-cut top and tight jeans, hair tousled. "I need to talk, Keanu," she said in a breathy voice. "Just a few minutes." He exhaled, stepping outside onto his porch, keeping the door behind him closed. "Look, Celeste, this is inappropriate. I asked you not to do this." The night air felt tense, heavy with her perfume. She tried to approach, but he held up a hand. "Stop. Whatever you want from me, I'm not interested. Let's keep boundaries." Her lips trembled, as if on the verge of tears. "I'm sorry. I just felt this connection. Don't push me away." She pressed a hand to his chest, leaning in, her eyes glistening. "Let me come inside. We can talk, maybe share a drink." He gently removed her hand. "No. It's late, and this is crossing lines. Please respect me. Go home." For a moment, fury flickered behind her eyes, but she masked it. She forced a quivering lip. "All right, I'll go." Without further protest, she turned on her heels and strutted away into the darkness. Keanu locked the door, heart pounding. He peeked out a window to watch her leave. She slipped into a black sedan idling at the curb, driving off. Why is she so determined? At a bar across town, Celeste entered with clipped steps, scanning for a figure at a corner booth. Luca Bradbury sipped whiskey, waiting. She slid in opposite him, ignoring the bar's dim lighting and stale smell. "He refused me again," she said flatly, removing her jacket. "This is harder than you said." Luca's jaw clenched. "You're supposed to be an expert at seduction. I'm paying you for results. The scandal must be unstoppable. Remember the plan. Get him to sleep with you, claim you're pregnant. Let the tabloids do the rest." She glared. "I can't make him jump in bed if he's a monk. He's turning down every move I make." Luca's lips curled in a sneer. "Try harder. We need at least a photo or some shred of evidence suggesting an affair. Delgado's moral stance is famous. Any sign of impropriety, he might disqualify Keanu. And if you can push the pregnancy angle, that's bulletproof." He chugged his whiskey. "I'll pay extra if you succeed. Understand?" Celeste bristled but nodded. She had her own reasons for accepting this job. Enough money to vanish from her old life. "Fine. But if he keeps stonewalling me, I need a different angle. Maybe pretend I'm in trouble, some sob story to trigger his protective side. Then lead him into an intimate moment." Luca drummed his fingers, eyes cold. "Do what you must. This role is mine no matter what. Make him look like a sleaze." "Understood." She rose, snatching her purse. "I'll deliver. Prepare my payment." With that, she stormed out. Luca smirked, swirling the ice in his glass. He could practically taste victory. Keanu's next day. He arrived at Delgado's studio for a final script read. The tension in the air was palpable. Rumors suggested Delgado planned to announce his casting choice any day now. Throughout the reading, Delgado wore a thoughtful frown, occasionally nodding at Keanu's performance with approval. Luca read after him, intense as ever, voice trembling with emotion. But Delgado's expression was less enthused. Backstage, waiting in a corridor, Keanu overheard a stagehand whisper to another. Heard Delgado says Reeves is perfect. Might announce it tomorrow. The other stagehand nodded excitedly. Warm satisfaction spread in Keanu's chest. He tried not to get his hopes too high, but it sounded promising. As he left, he spotted Luca leaning against a pillar, an undercurrent of malice in his eyes. "Hey, congrats, man," Luca said with a toothy grin. "Word is you've practically bagged the role." "That's huge." His tone dripped with insincerity. Keanu nodded politely, sense of unease returning. That night, Manny called to say, "Heard a rumor from a friend. Someone's been digging into your personal life, looking for dirt. You okay?" Keanu paused, unsettled. "I've refused to see this persistent woman, but that's all." "Maybe it's connected." Manny sighed. "Just be careful. Hollywood is full of sabotage, especially if you're favored for a big role. Keep your guard up." Keanu thanked him and hung up, mind swirling with suspicion. Could Celeste be part of a sabotage attempt? He found it bizarre. Was she working for a tabloid? A competitor? The notion felt paranoid, but Manny's warning fueled his uncertainty. "I can't let them compromise me," he resolved, checking the locks on his home that evening. An odd chill creeping over him. Keanu sat in his living room, flipping channels after a busy day. The faint hum of traffic outside lulled him. Then, without warning, his phone buzzed. An unknown caller again. Heart sinking, he answered warily, "Hello?" A shaky female voice on the line. "Keanu? It's Celeste." He stiffened. "I'm in trouble. I didn't know who else to call. I'm sorry if this is out of line, but I need help." Her voice quivered with genuine fear. He rubbed his temple. Part of him wanted to hang up. Another part, a kinder streak, listened. "What happened?" A muffled sob. "I got in a fight with my ex. He's thrown me out. I'm on the street near Redwood Avenue. It's late. I have nowhere to go. Please, I'm scared." Keanu swallowed. Could this be a ploy? Possibly. But ignoring a woman claiming to be in distress felt wrong. "All right," he said softly. "I'll come see if I can help." "Redwood Avenue, where exactly?" She gave an address near a rundown motel. He jotted it down. "Stay safe, I'll be there soon." Ending the call, he sighed heavily, murmuring, "God, let me not regret this." Redwood Avenue. The street was poorly lit, a few neon motel signs flickering. Keanu parked near a battered sedan. Glancing around, he spotted Celeste sitting on a curb, arms wrapped around herself, hair disheveled, clothes wrinkled. She looked genuinely distraught, eyes rimmed red as though from crying. He approached cautiously. "Celeste?" She looked up, tears rolling. "Thank you for coming." She stood on shaky legs, stumbling forward. He gently caught her by the shoulders. A wave of regret pinched his chest, seeing her in such a state. "What happened?" he asked. She sniffled, voice trembling. "I was living with my ex, a toxic arrangement. Tonight he snapped, kicked me out. I have no money, no ID, he took everything. I know we barely know each other, but I had your number. I'm desperate." Conflicted, Keanu nodded. "All right. I can put you in a safe motel or call a crisis helpline. But you can't just wander here." Her eyes pleaded. "Could I maybe stay at your place? Just for tonight, until I figure out the next step." A tight knot formed in his gut. Manny's warnings echoed. But seeing her trembling, he reasoned the decent thing was to ensure she didn't fall victim to the streets. "I'll pay for a motel. That might be better," he said gently. She sagged, biting her lip. Fine, if that's what you prefer. She let him help her into his car. During the silent drive, she wiped tears, occasionally glancing at him with sorrowful eyes. A pang of guilt struck him. Was he turning his back on someone in real need, or was this her ploy? They reached a modest motel on the safer side of Redwood. He paid for a room with his credit card, escorted her inside. Celeste collapsed on the bed, shoulders trembling. I can't believe I'm here. Thank you. I'm sorry for bothering you. Keanu forced a reassuring nod. No worry. Just rest. In the morning we can see about resources. He handed her some cash. For food. Don't hesitate to call if you're truly in danger. Her eyes welled. You're so kind. I promise I won't forget this. He murmured a good night and left, tension coiling in his chest. On the drive home, guilt warred with suspicion. I did the right thing, right? The next day, he returned to the motel with a bag of groceries. But the front desk clerk told him Celeste had checked out early. A pang of confusion. She left no note, no phone message. The clerk shrugged. She just said she was gone. Didn't want to pay a second night, I guess. He left the groceries behind for whoever needed them, unsettled by Celeste's vanishing. That evening, Manny rang him. Heard a weird rumor. Some tabloid hack claims they have a story about you hooking up with a random woman who might claim pregnancy. That's insane, right? Keanu's blood ran cold. It's insane and untrue. But I've had a persistent woman harassing me. Manny hissed. Dude, that's gotta be it. They're setting you up. Watch out, man. Don't be alone with her again. She might stage something bigger. Keanu's pulse hammered. Could Celeste be manufacturing a scandal? He recalled her repeated attempts, the motel fiasco. Could she later claim they shared a room? The mere thought churned his stomach. That night, he tried to focus on lines for a final reading Delgado scheduled. But tension gnawed at him. He found it impossible to calm the storm in his mind. Everything pointed to sabotage. Another week passes. Hollywood rumor mills buzzed with talk that Delgado was on the cusp of announcing the lead for Runway to Midnight. Keanu, while giving his best at every reading, felt a gnawing dread. Manny's warnings and the strange near encounters with Celeste weighed on him. He half expected a nasty headline any day. Keanu's secret affair? Sure enough, a small gossip column teased big star implicated in shocking baby scandal. It didn't name him, but Manny read it as a near-libel blind item. It's definitely pointing at you, Manny insisted, brandishing the printed snippet. Mentions a major A-lister with a stoic persona rumored for a noir film. That's gotta be you. They claim evidence of an intimate encounter. This is serious. Keanu rubbed his temple. But I never, she never, we never did anything. Anxiety flared. He pictured Delgado's reaction if such a rumor escalated. The director was old school, moralistic. Any scandal might sour him. Meanwhile, in a dim underground lounge, Celeste scrolled through her phone, lips curved in a predatory smirk. She'd planted seeds with a tabloid contact. Just enough hints that a certain star might have impregnated a mystery woman. Her instructions from Luca were clear. Ramp up the rumor, but only reveal the star's name at the perfect moment. She tapped a text to Luca. Going as planned. He's squirming, ready for the final push. Luca's quick reply. Yes. Announce you're pregnant with his child. Make sure word reaches Delgado fast. I want him humiliated. Payment awaits. She exhaled, heart pounding. She wasn't proud of this deception, but the money was huge, enough to vanish from her old mistakes. Tomorrow, she'd go public, or at least threaten to. Poor naive do-gooder, she thought with mild regret. At least we never actually slept together. She wondered if the guilt would haunt her. Keanu's apartment, late. He sat restless, rereading the short script Delgado emailed for tomorrow's final test reading. The role was almost his. He could sense Delgado's enthusiasm if no scandal broke. Manny had insisted, If any suspicious woman tries to corner you, run. Sound advice if comedic. Close to midnight, his door buzzer startled him. He froze. Celeste? Again? He hurried to the security camera feed. Indeed, it was her, hunched in a sweatshirt, face pale. She pressed the buzzer repeatedly, eyes frantic. Despite Manny's warnings, Keanu felt compelled to see what new drama she brought. He opened the gate via intercom, bracing himself. She rushed in, tears streaming. Keanu, I need you. Please open up. Against his better judgment, he let her in. She stumbled past the threshold, collapsing onto his couch, sobbing. I'm so sorry to come unannounced. I have to tell you something. Please don't hate me. His stomach twisted. Calm down. What is it? She sniffled, wiping tears. I'm pregnant, she said, voice quavering. It's yours. She averted her gaze in false shame. A surge of shock and anger welled in Keanu's chest. That's impossible. We never slept together, he exclaimed, voice incredulous. She sobbed harder, playing the victim. You must have been too drunk to remember or blacked out. We did, that night after the charity gala. You took me to your car. Her eyes flickered with cunning. You said you'd kill me if I told anyone. But I can't hide it. Horrified, Keanu shook his head. This is insane. That never happened. I was never drunk. I left alone. He raked a hand through his hair. Is this blackmail? She wept theatrically, burying her face in her hands. How can you say that? You're denying it? We have proof. My phone has messages from you. And if you abandon me, I'll go public. She sniffed dramatically. But I'll keep quiet if you just pay me enough to handle the baby quietly. You can continue your big role in Delgado's film Untainted. His jaw clenched, anger rolling off him. So this was the final trap. A false pregnancy, a lie about threatened violence, blackmail over a non-existent affair. You planned all this, he ground out, voice trembling. Was the motel stunt part of it too? She broke her sobbing facade, face twisting into a sneer. Look, it's just business. You either pay, or I leak everything, ruin your squeaky clean image. Delgado's a moral purist, right? He'll drop you in a heartbeat. A swirling rage threatened to overtake him. He inhaled sharply. You messed with the wrong person. I won't be blackmailed. Get out of my house. She stood, composure returning. Fine. Then expect the tabloids to explode with my story tomorrow. Let's see if Delgado wants a star who knocks up random women. She tossed her hair and marched to the door, a final glare over her shoulder. Call me if you change your mind. He slammed the door behind her, heart thudding. This can't be real. But her threat was real. His mind whirled. I need to clear my name before Delgado hears. But how? At dawn, Keanu gathered Manny and a lawyer friend, Tamara Nguyen, in his living room. Shaken, he recounted Celeste's blackmail attempt. Manny listened, fuming. I knew it was sabotage. Let's get proof she's lying. Tamara nodded. If she's claiming texts or calls from you, she likely forged them. We can demand phone records. Also, a real pregnancy test. We can threaten legal action for defamation. Keanu exhaled. She's heading to tabloids soon. Delgado might see the rumor any minute. Manny snapped his fingers. We can move faster. I know a buddy in the paparazzi circle who might dig up who hired her. Let's see if we can trace it to a competitor. Tamara dialed some contacts in legal circles, stepping aside to expedite a strategy. Meanwhile, Manny texted his paparazzi buddy. In less than an hour, Manny's phone buzzed. Your hunch was right. Celeste isn't a random groupie. She's a known escort. She was approached by an actor's rep for a hush-hush job. Manny showed Keanu the text, eyebrows raised. An actor's rep? Could it be Luca? Keanu's mind flashed back to Luca's smug expressions. The timeline of Celeste's appearances, her endless attempts to seduce him, it all fit. He must be behind this. Manny smirked. We'll confirm soon. My buddy's digging. Meanwhile, We corner Celeste or find her confession. That afternoon, a meltdown erupted in social media. Hashtag Keanu scandal trended, fueled by an anonymous rumor that he impregnated a struggling woman. Tabloid gossip exploded. Beloved actor faces paternity accusations. Delgado Studios was tagged repeatedly by outraged or scandal-hungry fans. Keanu's phone rang nonstop. Manny answered, deflecting reporters. Then, Delgado himself called, voice tight. "Keanu, what's going on?" Keanu explained the sabotage, swearing it was lies. Delgado sighed heavily. "I want to believe you, but this negative press is insane. The producers are spooked. If we can't quell it, they may insist I pick someone else for Runway to Midnight." Heart sinking, Keanu said, "Give me a day to prove my innocence." "Please." Delgado paused. "All right. One day. Then I must finalize. Good luck." Keanu clenched his jaw, heartbreak mingling with fury. "I must end this now." Manny arrived with fresh intel. "We found Celeste's phone number was purchased by a front company linked to Luca Bradbury's agent. That was the smoking gun. We suspect Luca paid her to orchestrate the scandal." The confrontation. Keanu decided to confront Celeste directly. Manny found her address from the paparazzi buddy, a cheap condo in a seedy part of West Hollywood. Keanu arrived with Manny, Tamara, and a phone camera rolling to document everything. They climbed the rickety stairs, knocked. Celeste opened the door, surprise flickering across her face. She tried to slam it, but Manny wedged his foot. "Let us in. We need a chat," Tamara said in a firm, lawyerly tone. Celeste, cornered, backed up. Inside, the cluttered living room reeked of stale smoke. On a worn table lay magazines, half-eaten takeout, and a cheap flip phone. Celeste folded her arms defensively. "What do you want?" Keanu kept his voice level. "Stop the lies. We know you're not pregnant. We know you never slept with me. We have phone records linking you to a certain actor's rep. Spit the truth, or we press charges for defamation and extortion." She paled. "You have no proof." Manny waved his phone. "We have everything. We can show texts tying you to Luca Bradbury's agent. Your attempts to seduce Keanu are all on record. You messed with a big star lady. Cops would be happy to see this." Her composure cracked. She sank onto a couch, burying her face in her hands. "It was a job. Luca hired me. Said he wanted you out of the running for Delgado's film. He told me to fake seduction pregnancy. Then he'd pay me big. I needed the money, okay?" Her voice trembled with a mix of anger and shame. Keanu's heart pounded. Manny filmed the confession on his phone. Tamara stepped forward. "Then you'll publicly retract your accusations. Post on social media or wherever you told the tabloids that it's false. Understood? We can show a judge your admission if needed." Tears rolled down Celeste's cheeks. "Fine. I'll do it. I never wanted to ruin him personally. Luca threatened me. Said he'd trash my life if I refused." "I'm sorry." She sniffled, rummaging for her phone. "I'll message the tabloids that I lied." Keanu exhaled, relief and anger swirling. "You do that. Then vanish from my life." Celeste typed a frantic text to her tabloid contact. Manny recorded the screen. After sending, she slumped, shoulders trembling. "I'm done. Just let me go." She gave them a weary glance. Manny nodded, satisfied. They left, evidence in hand. Outside, Keanu breathed in the fresh air, heart hammering at the betrayal. So it was Luca all along. They forwarded the video confession to Delgado and the major producers. Instantly, news broke. Celeste recants pregnancy claim, admits to setup. Social media roared with apologies from fans who'd believed the scandal. Public sympathy swung in Keanu's favor, praising him for staying calm and not stooping to scandal tactics. Luca Bradbury, blindsided, tried to deny involvement. But Manny's paparazzi friend leaked records showing suspicious bank transfers from Luca's agent to Celeste's shell account. Within hours, Luca's name trended in scandal. Delgado, outraged by such manipulative sabotage, publicly condemned Luca's unethical behavior. The studio blacklisted Luca from the project. Rumor said other directors also distanced themselves from him. Final casting announcement. 2 days later, Delgado summoned Keanu to the studio. In a conference room, the famed director clasped Keanu's hand with paternal warmth. "I regret the stress you endured. Thanks for clearing up that nonsense. I never doubted your integrity. So, I'm pleased to officially offer you the lead in Runway to Midnight." A rush of gratitude filled Keanu. He shook Delgado's hand, smiling. "Thank you. It's an honor. I won't let you down." Delgado nodded. "I know you won't. We'll make a brilliant film, free of scandal now." He gave a wry smile. As for Luca, well, he messed with the wrong man. Outside, Manny awaited, grinning ear to ear. "Told ya. Good guys win sometimes." Keanu patted Manny's shoulder. "Couldn't have proven anything without your help. Let's get to work." In the weeks that followed, media outlets briefly feasted on the drama of Luca's sabotage. But the story fizzled once Celeste publicly confirmed no affair, no pregnancy, no threat, all orchestrated by Luca. Keanu, taking the high road, refused to comment beyond stating gratitude for the truth coming out. Delgado's film pre-production began with an enthusiastic press coverage focusing on Keanu's starring role. Late one evening, Manny joined Keanu for a quiet celebration dinner. Over a glass of sparkling cider, Manny raised a toast. "Here's to you, the unstoppable Keanu Reeves, proud holder of the Runway to Midnight lead, living proof that decency can prevail in a cutthroat business." Keanu chuckled softly. Here. Their glasses clinked. As he gazed at the city lights outside the restaurant window, he felt a swell of humility and relief. No matter how vicious the industry's hidden games might be, honesty and grit had carried him through. The role was his reputation intact, while Luca's star fell under the weight of his own deceit. All because one man refused to let sabotage and false scandal define him. In a place where illusions reigned, truth had found a way to shine. Hello guys. Kindly hit the subscribe button and follow for more interesting tales like this. Thanks for your support.